All right, I think we can get going now. So, good morning or afternoon, friends and industry colleagues, and wherever you might be here in the country or the world. I want to thank you for taking a moment on your day to join us for 42 Chat Presents, Safely Restarting Events in the COVID Era Using Text, our webinar. Thank you very much. Just a couple of quick notes as we proceed in the presentation. Please feel free to type your questions in the question window in the GoToWebinar control panel, and we will gladly answer them at the end of the deck. This way we can present the information thoroughly to make the most of everybody's valuable time. And if you stick around until the end, I do have a little parting gift to share with everyone. So for those of you who I have not met, I'm Ray Baum, Senior Account Executive here at 42 Chat. I'd also like to introduce you to my co-conspirator and fellow Senior Account Manager, Mr. Colin Tokash. Colin and I both started at 42 Chat this past June after spending almost 10 years at Core Apps, where we very successfully introduced mobile apps to the events industry. We were both brought in at the same time here to build and develop the trade show and events division at 42 Chat. And lastly, rounding out your hosting panel is our main presenter right now, Mr. Ken Deese. He happens to be our Chief Marketing Officer. Ken has spent many years at the marketing helm of some very major corporations, and most recently, before joining 42 Chat, he was the CMO for the Expo Group. So between the three of us, we have got your event covered. So right now, I'm going to hand the reins over to Ken, and he is going to go straight into the deck. Ken.
Thanks so much, Ray. Thank you very much, everybody. A brief introduction to who we are, to expand just a little bit on what Ray did was, look, we're the leader in providing really superior event experiences through text-based AI chatbots that enable attendees to get answers to all their questions in about 3 seconds or less via simple text. No app to download, passwords to remember, no scrolling. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but this webinar is going to be a little different in that we actually want you to have your cell phone at the ready. We're going to demo Healthshield. But if you'd like to really experience it yourself, make sure you have your phone handy, and we're okay with that in this webinar. So let's get started. What we've learned from providing technology to help events, sports, schools, businesses, and more reopen is that there are 3 steps needed to be successful. First, you need to build a bubble. Second, you need to screen everyone who enters for their health status. Third, you need to be able to manage groups and activities and be prepared to react.
And Ken, if I can interrupt you for just a second, could you? We don't think you're sharing your screen.
Still, try that again.
There we go.
Ah, that's odd. Thanks for the heads up.
No problem.
So 3 basic steps: build your bubble, screen everyone who enters for their health status, manage groups and activities, and be prepared to react. Let's dive into those details a little bit. Now, the first thing we know you've got to do is you've got to create the bubble that protects attendees, exhibitors, staff, and more. And that means, cleaning the venue, right? That's public areas that are high touch. That's restrooms, front of house, and back of house. That's back of house offices, dressing areas, green rooms, production areas, back of the house, kitchen and food prep. There's a lot to do. And failure to do everything reasonable, that's in quotes because we've all learned a lot more about tort law than we would like during this process, is you have a requirement to do everything reasonable to really prevent any COVID outbreaks that you might have. It's called duty of care, and you'll want to be able to prove that you have taken that duty of care very seriously. You've done everything responsible, because if you don't and you pop the bubble, then liability transfers back to you. And let's be honest, our concern is not just for everyone's safety. Of course it is, but we are also very, very mindful of complying with regulations and protecting ourselves against regulators. That's important here. So now, once the venue's clean, now it's about monitoring who gets in and what they do. And it is really important to think about this in this first way. Symptom screen everyone. You grant permission to enter the bubble. This is a different mindset from generally events, which is we're at a venue, everybody comes in. Yes, there's badges, there's people coming and going, there's staff, there's lots of people coming and going. We try to manage security and the like, but in this particular case, there's an extra layer of vigilance that's required. So the idea here is you have to symptom screen everyone that you grant permission to enter the bubble. It's an entirely different level of vigilance that's required. The degree that's practical or that you think is needed, temperature screen all who enter. And again, if it's practical, COVID test who you can. May not be practical, but temperature screening, there are lots of technologies that can do that pretty effectively. Do it if you can, and do it if it's practical. And then it's really important, and we've learned this through our experience with Healthshield so far, you have to make it easy for attendees and exhibitors and staff and more confirm their compliance. Make it easy for them to prove that, yes, I'm healthy, I haven't been in contact, I don't need to be in quarantine. Make that as easy as possible. Inside the bubble, we need to communicate safety standards everywhere, right? So all of you know that this is going to be about all kinds of signage requiring the wearing of masks and reminders about masks. It's going to be about signage around social distancing. It's hand sanitizer everywhere. It may also be defining sort of pods or groups of people that might move through the event together. So there's communications of how everybody can contribute to protecting the bubble, providing sanitization capability, and then thinking about, are there ways that you can sort of group screen people together to move through the event as one? Because again, all of that minimizes COVID risk. But no matter what you do, there's going to be a COVID case. It's likely. If you have an event of any size, there's likely going to be a COVID case. So you have to be prepared. So do everything you can to prevent it, but you should assume going in that you're going to have one. So make sure you have a plan. It's important to make sure you know who is in and who was in the bubble. You need to be sure that you've got screening data in groups to ID the risk. And then you need an ability to contact everyone instantly and confidentiality that there's been a case and that we're managing it, right? So once you're inside the bubble, these are the other risk mitigation steps that are really important that you take. So let's follow this logic a little bit. Look, if the venue isn't clean, you're starting with a really high risk. So of course, you've got to do everything you can there. If we don't control entry, everything else that you've already done and everything else you are about to do is at risk. And look, if the building is clean, the venue's clean, and people are cleared, you're going to be in pretty good shape. It's not going to matter as much what happens on inside. So the practical goal here has to be clean the venue. And then we can't stress this enough, aggressively control who enters that bubble by demonstrating that they've captured their health status. You need to know that people are attesting to the fact that they haven't been exposed to COVID, they haven't been in a hot spot in 14 days. There are these three, and Ray and Colin will go over this when we talk about Healthshield a little bit. There are 3 CDC compliance questions where people have to attest to that health to get that green check mark. Manage that aggressively. It's important to maintaining the bubble. And then once they're in, thoughtfully manage who interacts inside the bubble, right? So, be smart about mask requirements and signage reminding people about their masks and distancing. Just be smart and continue to communicate. Now, to make sure all that happens, the options we found just haven't been great, right? So most of the screening options out there, not great. You can't do nothing, and you certainly can't test everyone every day. That is, financially, economically, likely not possible. Manual paper systems, they can work, but they're logistically limiting. That's not super effective in larger crowds. And not only that, but you could have a backup of people who could be asymptomatic or positive, like standing in lines. You need to avoid that. So the paper systems that are out there aren't great. Now, there are some folks who have implemented sort of add-on apps or online forms. Here's the issue. There's two issues there that we found. One, generally just lower app engagement levels. So app engagement generally running at around 35% at best. The second thing that an app doesn't help you with is handling exceptions. If we're going to aggressively manage who enters the bubble and there are exceptions, you need to be able to quickly and easily manage them. And if they are unanticipated guests or people are arriving that haven't necessarily been part of your app ecosystem prior to arriving, an app's not going to help you, and you need to find a way to screen them really effectively and really efficiently. So the system just really breaks down pretty severely with unknown visitors or even a modest exception caseload. So these options haven't really worked. And the goal here, right, is the highest possible daily compliance with the fewest possible manual screenings. That's the goal. Highest levels of compliance, fewest possible manual screenings. And this is where our solution comes in. This is Healthshield. So Healthshield is a simple, text-based, CDC-compliant COVID symptom screening survey that in just 15 seconds on participants' own cell phones has them attest to their own health status while also creating an instant digital audit trail that will help you keep regulators and litigators at bay. If you can text, and everyone can, you can COVID symptom screen to help maintain that bubble. Everybody knows how to use text, and compliance rates on these texts we're finding out in the market is 100% because it's so easy, because everybody knows how to text and everybody's got a smartphone. So that's sort of the setup. We know there's a lot of work to do. We know this is a challenge. We've got a terrific tool that can help you meet this challenge. And what I want to do now is turn things over to Ray to do a demo of Healthshield. So grab your phone and text HSB to 25525 and take it away, Ray.
Thank you very much, Ken. Appreciate it. So yeah, so everybody should be able to see my phone on the screen right now as well. So there's the number 25525, and you're going to simply text the word or the initials HSB. Oops, sorry. Let me get to the right screen. 25525. There we go. HSB, just like that, as you see there, and hit send. Make sure it doesn't do an autocorrect. Sometimes it does IBM, sometimes it does HAB, several different things. So there you go. You have just engaged with the bot, right? Now this is just imagine everybody who has to be on your show floor doing this step. Okay, so here we are. We've now engaged the bot. Now, if everybody can just click the link that says screening right there. Okay, now we're not going to be recording temperature here for today for the demo, but we absolutely can. You can make that a requirement for people to have to actually take their temperature and put it in here. That way you have a record of it. The cool thing about all of this is all instant data. So now you click the link, you should be here at this screen where it says terms and conditions, right? This is everything what Ken was talking about before as far as the CDC guidelines. Okay, this basically says here's what we're doing and here's what you need to do. So feel free to punch in whatever name you want. You can leave it as Joe Smith. You can say Jim Stanton or whatever you want to do, whoever you want it to be, and then just hit I agree. And again, you are taking the exact same steps that each one of your attendees or whoever it happens to be, contractor, exhibitor, staff member, whatever, they got to be at your event. This is what they have to do. And then simply just go in here and answer the 3 CDC guidelines. These questions simply go no, in this case, no, and then scroll down. And just like that, hit submit, and you're going to get your mark and an instant text message that congratulations, you've now passed. Now, please take note that it tells you exactly at what time that the symptom screening was taken, and it tells you when it expires. So you as the organizer can set this to limit to whatever you want. If you want it once a day, or if it's like, nope, your screening is only good for 5 hours, whatever. You can require people to do it twice a day if that's the case. Either or, this is completely up to you. This is set based on your parameters. So I can now take my phone, okay, walk down to the show floor, and if you have a designated area or a designated entryway that people with green check marks can go, that's where they're going to go. Okay, this can also display their barcode, the QR code for their badge. So if you want completely contactless entry, you can do it here. And you're going to see an example of that on the screen here in a little bit as well. Okay, so now, once again, this information that you see on my phone, you got the text message. You as the organizer, you as the organizer now have this information readily available. Okay, you can be notified on your phone if somebody comes back yellow or red, taking the next step so you can reach out to them, or you can log into the portal and you can see it right then and there. We can do this for you guys. It's that simple. These are the steps to starting to get your event open safely. All righty, just moving down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hand it back to Ken, who's going to take it from here, and then we're going to show you something else here in just a second. So Ken, here it comes back to you.
Thank you, Ray. So just to sort of recap, and I'm going to just to recap, and I'm going to walk you through a couple of other sort of options that you have available here, is the process works either users can receive a daily text with a link to take the health survey, so we can broadcast reminders, or individuals are just instructed to text screening to the designated number that they've captured or that they have through either signage at the event or through registration. Another thing, a point I want to make here is that you can capture, manage, report, and document health screenings by segment if you like. So if you want to manage and understand the status of screens, of staff, separate from attendees, from exhibitors, from volunteers, or VIPs, or speakers, or whatever you want, you can set up segments so that if you want to be able to, manage and monitor health screening status by segment, you can do that. And we're going to talk a little bit about assigning a screening manager in a little bit, because we think that's a pretty good idea. I'll talk to you about that when we get to the sort of the supervisor and manager part of this. Ray just showed you how to complete the survey, instant results and confirmation, and Ray spoke a little bit about this. So if a temperature screening is required to be taken by a third party, which you may have temperature screening on site, individuals would receive a text with notifications for that temperature taking. So what may happen is you might get an approval. You might get, instead of that green check, you might get this that says, hey, you're good. We just need to take your temperature, when you arrive. Okay, so it does allow for temperature screening. Now, if a temperature screening isn't required, or after management approval, you receive a text with proof of passing the health screening. Now, if you do not pass, you see this sort of red piece here. What we would build out with you would be, look, you haven't passed the screening, and based on your response, here are the next steps to be taken. So this isn't just, sorry, you're out of luck, you don't pass. What we would work with you on is, if somebody doesn't pass, depending upon the answer to the question or what happened relative to that screening, we would work with you to develop and then provide specific instructions of what next actions that they could and should take. Okay, so we've covered really every instance of sort of screening type and text-based communications for what actions participants should or can take once they've taken the screening. The next thing I do want to talk about is this sort of supervisor or management process. One of the things, again, that we've learned in implementation that we highly recommend is identifying a member of your team who can serve as a screening manager or supervisor to really track participant activity. So somebody really is on top of seeing, okay, what's the screening situation look like? Have we got most of our passes? Are we seeing an uptick in rejections that we need to worry about, and who are they, and how do we interact? Or am I going to have a backup of temperature screens that I might have to do this morning? You know, whatever that might be. We do recommend, this is going to be new for a little bit, but we recommend probably assigning somebody on the team as a screening manager or administrator. And that person is essentially given access by our team, and they're identified by their own mobile phone number. So they're using their own cell phone number as ID to get into the administrative screen. They can either go to Hi or Dashboard to use it, Hi to use the bot, Dashboard to access the reporting features. And here on this screen, again, you can do this as a whole or select by segment. You can understand what the status is of each individual event participant. Are they currently passed and good to come in? Has their passing screen expired and they need to rescreen? Are they awaiting approval for either a temperature check or some other action? Were they awaiting approval and that's expired and they have to rescreen? Failed survey expired. This is a way for someone to be able to stay really on top of everything that's going on. Now, this is also something that you can do as a screening manager on your phone, but also your desktop, right? So if you've got a larger event and you need somebody managing to be able to sort of look at more records at once, it's also available on your desktop. And this is what that, just so you see what that little temperature input looks like. There's just there's an additional, when you submit and you get sent to a temperature screening, there's temperature screening, that number gets entered, and then you get your green check mark. So it's just another really simple, easy screen. And in addition to these, what will shortly be available is, Ray talked about, and I'll talk about it in a little bit, touchless, contactless registration with a badge. Well, pretty soon we're going to have not just that screening, but that QR code badge can actually be scanned. You get a temperature, it self-fills out the bot, and you can go. So it's even quicker. Right now, you might have to enter a 98.6, but pretty soon you won't even have to be able to do that. From a reporting perspective, again, you can view a report of everybody on your mobile phone or your desktop. You can filter that by date, screening status, department, segment, individual screening history. You can look at this data any way you want, and this is automatically generated by the screening tool. This isn't anything you have to build. It isn't anything you have to populate. We create a digital audit trail of all of these screens so you can manage it. If you were to be audited by regulators, you have those records. If for some reason there were potential litigation, you've got the documentation of everybody who has attested to their health status. It happens automatically with each individual screen. And this is the other thing that Ray was talking about a little bit, which is, Reg can be an awful lot of contact and lines and interactions, and where we want to be more vigilant about mitigating some of that. This is where Healthshield and event bots can be really, really helpful. We can combine screening with cell phone badge delivery. So participants can simply scan their badge along with their green mark for entry. And if they're cleared, they're in. If they're not, they can be directed elsewhere for further instructions. So it minimizes the length of Reg interactions, right? You're not managing Reg lines. You're not printing badges and handling them, or minimizing, contact from staff to register, right? There's less need for yards of Reg desk space, right? You could save on space, you could save on rental shipping, you could save on I&D, right? There's no reason for printers and paper and lanyards, oh my, right? And you may not need as much reg staff. So the ability to integrate the Healthshield with badge delivery can not only contribute to a contactless registration, but economically has some benefit for you as well. This is an event that we just helped a client use Healthshield for, right? Quick example for an organization already safely restarted an in-person event. The NCBA used it to screen its participants each day, combined with other steps that they took, right? The steps we talked about earlier. So venue sanitization, masking requirements, distancing signage reminders. And it went great. It was in mid to late July. And they are so pleased with it, they're going to, as you can see from the client's quote, be using it at their big conference in February. So that is how Healthshield can help you create a safer event. Now, once everyone is screened, you can turn that Healthshield into an event bot. Now that you've gotten people to attest to their health status, the liability is now shared. You've proven your duty of care through that instantly created digital audit trail. Now you have an ability via text to turn that Healthshield into an event bot to create not just a safer experience, but a superior one. So what I'm going to do now is turn things over to Colin to talk about EventBot really quickly and share a demo of that bot as well. Colin?
Thanks, Ken, and you bring up a great point there of how everyone can really get the most bang for their buck out of the bot there, and including and utilizing both of those in conjunction with one another is really going to provide a great experience for the attendees that after they have screened, they can then ask the bot a bunch of questions and interact with it from there. So really, the two main solutions that the event bot is going to provide is first to answer questions for your attendees. And we actually see on average 4.5 questions per attendee there. So when you start doing the math on that of how many questions per attendee, that adds up to be quite a few questions there that somebody would have to answer. It's nice to have the bot as a teammate to handle that for you there. The other solution is going to be as a superior communication tool. And we see 98% engagement with that communication tool with those SMS text messages, for the reason being because everybody actually reads their text messages here. So what we're going to do here is walk you through a little demo of a couple questions with our demo bot called DB. So if you text that same number that you texted before, 25525, and just text the word demo bot, that'll allow you to engage with DB, our conference demo bot here. Ray's going to show you that here.
Everybody should be seeing it right now.
Yep. So if you text demo bot.
And by the way, Liz, we will address your question at the end of the presentation, so don't worry, we got you noted.
Yep. And you'll get a greeting message back from DB here. If you don't know what questions to ask the bot here, but you still want to engage, we're going to walk you through a few, but you can always text menu, and that will give you some of the options to get you started there. Now we're going to start with a softball for DB here, and we're going to ask, where do I park? And within 3 seconds here, we're going to get the response back. And what's great about this is you actually do not have to ask the bot complete questions or complete sentences. The bot is smart enough to know what you're asking just by a simple keyword. So in terms of efficiency here, let's just text Wi-Fi. And you can see how fast the bot responds here. And we'll give one more. Let's go with registration. So you can include the question mark, but you don't have to. And then you're going to get your responses from there. So that'll give you and sort of tee you up with a few questions you can start with on the bot, but feel free to put DB through a torture test and ask it a bunch of questions from there. If you come across any IDKs, which means it's a question that the bot doesn't know the answer to, just let us know, or just try and ask it in a different way and see what it comes up with from there. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
See if we can get an IDK on it.
So it may think Bill Smith is an attendee. It may also think Bill Smith could be a speaker. So from there, you know, it's saying right there, there's no attendees in this case here, but then gives you some other options to try and find that information. So it really helps you out. And a lot of times those IDKs work themselves out just naturally. So we're going to bounce back over into the PowerPoint here and walk you through a few other sort of next level features and functionality that the bot can do. For time's sake here, we're just going to walk you through some of them with a couple screenshots here for you. So the bot can do a lot more than just ask or answer questions and send communication. And it has a lot of really cool features and functionality built into it. And one of those, and that we touched on a little bit with Healthshield bot, was the contactless badge delivery. So you see that there. So all of our bots are going to be integrated with your registration system. We'll pull all that data over for you. We love APIs. We'll take those any day. So it makes everybody's life really easy. And when it comes to any of your session, speaker, exhibitor data, we'll integrate with any of those providers as well. Pull that all over for you there as well. You'll see some next level features here with networking and gamification as well. And then we also have a lot of features and functionality where you'll say, okay, that looks like some overlap with my event app. And yes, that is true in that case there. But think of the event app as more of your content delivery tool. Think of the event bot as more of your communication delivery tool. Now, they really work best as standalone tools, but utilized in conjunction with one another. So both of them can integrate really easily and pass the attendees sort of back and forth between the two and really enhance the usage on both of those at the same time. Now, it can also do some really personal and specific features here, like sending VIP invitations, personalized itineraries, and even hotel confirmations from there as well. So really the best way to get the most engagement with the bot, and really the best way to communicate with your attendees through the bot, is to capture their mobile phone number through the registration process there. And I know that that's a staple for a lot of you already, but if not, all you need to do is just do that there and just let them know it's for emergency purposes. The push notifications through the bot with that 98% engagement there really just kind of comes with great power and great responsibility there. You know, you don't want to utilize that too much there, but really for the most important communications that you want to send out. And you can send those out in real time. You can pre-schedule those. And then if we do have any sort of emergency notification that does need to go out, such as maybe there's a positive COVID test and you want to discreetly let everybody know and for them to be able to take action from there, or something as terrible as last call at the bar, you could always let everybody know through those notifications there. So because you can utilize the Healthshield bot and the event bot in conjunction with one another, what we're actually doing here is we're running a special deal where if you purchase both together, we will waive any of the setup fee on the Healthshield bot. So you're just paying for your event bot in that case there, and then you're just paying for the screenings that you're running through the event bot for the Healthshield bot there. So gives you a really nice 2-for-1 deal on that there. Now, Ray and I have reached out to a bunch of our old Core Apps customers. If you haven't heard from us, no worries. Our email may have just dropped into your spam folder. Feel free to drop us a note. This is our emails here. Of course, we'll be circling back with everyone, but if you don't hear from us within the next day or two, drop us a line. We'll make sure that we get connected with you from here.
And one thing that we do want to know, it's like if you have any questions right now, and I do have, so before we get to the questions, because I know some people do need to jot out. So if you look into the chat window in the GoToMeeting panel in the chat right there, I created kind of a little playlist and let's all get together, help each other out playlist on Spotify. It's free, so if you want it, go ahead and grab it. Just something to listen to throughout the day. Have a little good time with it, so please feel free. So Ken, Colin, we did get a question, and if anybody else has any other questions, we hopefully we timed this well, so we've got time to answer everyone. Liz Sansom asks, can the screening link be embedded in mass email communications to attendees for printout of pass-fail documentation, or is it cell phone required, or is a cell phone required?
This is an SMS text-based tool.
Exactly, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here. Yep. So this is a text-based SMS cell phone-based tool.
And Liz, one of the things that you can do though is in your email communication, your mass communication to your database, you can send them out a note saying, hey, we're going to be using a text bot, a chat bot for the event. Okay, and you can send a link to them there that they can get into it too. But that's just what you want to do. It starts the whole process. All right, let's see. Do we have any other questions?
Yep.
Really only one? Okay, there we go. There we go.
Question about populating the bot responses. So this is a good one here, and there's a lot of misconception out there about how much it takes to build an event bot. When we have a kickoff call with you, we actually scrape all the information off your website, and at that point in time, the bot is really about 50% built and complete, and then integrating with your registration data and registration provider, any of your session speaker, exhibitor data. At that point, we do all that heavy lifting.
Yeah, it's 80 to 85%.
Yep.
I mean, you'll have a bot to test within 2 weeks, and 80 to 85% of the questions. And at this point, we've built so many of these. We know that the same 60 to 65 questions answer about 95% of the questions that are going to get asked in an event. But there's very, very little time or effort required on clients' parts to provide, answers to specific questions. So 80 to 85% we grab from existing data and content resources. And then there may be some custom things that we get from you, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot.
Good question. Okay, so we got another question from Julie Brackenberry. It's actually 2 questions. Number 1, do you have any examples of CVBs, I'm assuming convention visitors bureaus, and DMOs, which are destination marketing organizations, who are using this as a value add for clients? Also, should event organizers advise attendees what you will be using the mobile number they give when submitting their registration? Ken, if you want to take part 1, I'll take part 2.
Yeah, so part 1, the answer is not yet. We're talking to and have had conversations about numerous venues, but in terms of CVBs or destination management organizations, we haven't had a lot of conversations in that area yet. They're also scrambling on an awful lot of fronts.
Yeah.
So part of it, we suspect, is just sheer volume of issues that they're dealing with and managing. So we haven't had a lot of conversations in that specific space beyond, the event owners and businesses and schools and other segments. The other sort of event industry extended family that we're having conversations with are actually venues, right? So this becomes a product that the venue itself actually can offer to event organizers.
I didn't get a chance to check the attendance list, but I know that the folks at IAVM, the International Association of Venue Managers, were invited. So
Yes.
we'll go back and look at the attendance list. And to answer part 2 of your question, Julie, yes, it's always advisable to let your attendees know why you're asking for the number. Now, as Ken alluded to in the presentation earlier, this is a safety issue. When you start with the Healthshield bot, it's like, look, we're getting your number, we're utilizing your number to keep you safe and to be able to notify you immediately for whatever reason, God forbid something happens. And I hate to be the negative Nelly here, but it can also work as a positive stance. It's like, hey, we just did X, or we just did X. That way you have it, and then they're engaging with you. It's really a key element. Okay, so next question. Does the admin portal allow for multiple events to be hosted simultaneously? Ooh, good question.
Yes.
Good question.
Yes, essentially, that would just be a separate, in our business called a different short code. So that's just a different event that's assigned a different short code with a different set of data. So yes, the admin portal would allow you to toggle back and forth between multiple events and see what's happening in each of those events, and even segments within those events.
Thank you, Ken. Next question, what is the turnaround time to get the Healthshield and event bot up and running? All right, so we're talking about 2 different things, but the same thing at the same time. Colin, you want to handle it?
Yeah, you bet. So the Healthshield setup is a lot faster than the event bot. Healthshield can be set up pretty quickly, just a couple weeks before the event if need be. The event bot, you're going to want a little bit more time on that. I would say 45 to 60 days on that there.
Yeah, and we can, so the Healthshield, depending upon the size of the event, the Healthshield, the actual process of us getting that up and running for you takes us about an hour. Okay, you'll want to have it in advance because you've got communications to do, but the actual setup is about an hour. And then from the time you say go on the event bot, from the time you say go to an event being live, we can do to Colin's point, it's like 6 to 8 weeks. And that depends on the size of the event and level of complexity of the event. But Healthshield can be up, in a heartbeat, and the event bot is about, 6 to 8 weeks.
Exactly. All right, do we have any other questions? Oh, yes, we do. Sheila, this one's for you, or from you. Do the reports give statistics on the questions asked, types of questions with most activity? Very simple answer is yes, absolutely. And it shows you questions that weren't able to be answered, as Colin was talking about the IDKs, the I don't knows. So what that happens is you can now then say, all right, so for the next event that we host, and we're going to do another event bot because you guys are great customers, okay, we can prepare for that question, and that question can be actually seeded into the chat bot as well.
And there's also another option if you choose to take advantage of it. Because the chat bots are AI, if we get a number of the same IDK, that question can be added on the fly. So it can be automatically added so that in the next hour or 2, the bot can now answer that question. Additionally, we can manually do a regroup at the end of day 1, and let's say, hey, people are having a hard time finding such and such, and we didn't train the bot on this, that, or the other thing. We, as the administrator, can also update that bot in less than 30 minutes. So there's sort of these 3 options, which is we can learn for the next event. There's an option available to apply the AI to have the bot learn on the fly what the answer to that question is. Or at the end of each day, we can update the bot to answer if there's a commonly asked question that the bot wasn't trained on, we can address it that night so that the next morning there's an answer.
Thanks, Ken.
Sure.
All right. Do we have any other questions? I think that wraps it all up. All right. Well, first of all, we want to thank everybody for taking the time today. I know we're all being bombarded pretty much daily on webinars for here, there, and everywhere. So thank you very much for affording us the time today. You're welcome, Sheila. Thank you very much for attending. On behalf of Colin, Ken, and myself, you can reach us at colin.tokosh, 42chat, ray.baum at 42chat, ken.dees, that's DEC at 42chat. And please, let's support each other. We will get through this, and thanks for your time, everybody. And this will be recorded, which we'll be sending out and saving for everybody. So if you want to share it with your colleagues, we certainly do appreciate it. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week and stay safe.
Hey,
Yes,
Ray.
Ken. Yes.
Ray, you hinted at some sort of a thank you gift or something at the beginning of
Yes,
that?
the thank you gift is in the chat window. I already put it there. The link to a Spotify playlist for anybody who's on Spotify. It's already there. Yes.
Nice. All right. Thanks so much,
Oh,
everybody.
wait. We actually just got one more question. One more question.
Okay.
Justin, is it a dedicated short code specific to the event, or is it a shared code with specific keywords for each event?
It's a dedicated short code specific to the event.
There you go. All right, there's your answer, Justin.
All right.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.